Hello. I hope you are having a fantastic day so far. Thank you for popping this episode of It's Good to Talk on. I am really excited for this conversation. I hope it's going to be educational. I feel as though it's going to be empowering, and I'm really excited for it. It is with Josh Smith. Now, Josh is known for his warmth, his humour, and his interviewing technique. He hosts the podcast Rain, and it all began with him as the fashion and entertainment director in 2016 of In Style, before he went over to Glamour as the entertainment director. Now, Josh started his podcast, and that brought him to the decision to move to being a contributing editor of Glamour in 2020. Now, Josh is clearly skilled with writing, and that brought him on to writing his hit book, Great Chat. Now, Josh has interviewed everyone from Oprah, Victoria Beckham, Lily Collins, Cara Delevingne, Leo Woodall, Florence Pugh, and my best friend Belle Precy. He's also an ambassador of the more than fantastic Place to Be. He hosted the world premiere of ABBA Voyage, which involved the band's first group interview in decades. He's cool, he's kind, he's intelligent, and I'm really, really excited to sit down with him and have a great chat. Josh Smith, welcome to It's Good to Talk. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, babe?
I am fabulous. How have you started your day? It is the morning. It is AM.
Yes, it's
What have
rise
you
and
done
shine
so
time.
far? Do you have breakfast in the morning?
I get up, I walk my dog.
Okay.
She's always up and at them.
Yeah.
7:30, she starts whining. So we shimmy out,
Okay.
do the dog walk.
That's quite good because that gets you up and out.
Yeah, I think also when you work for yourself, it's key.
You need
Because
something.
otherwise I would be that kind of person who's in bed until
2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah. And even when I used to work at different companies,
Yeah.
I probably still wouldn't get out of bed until 8:30, 9, and I was probably meant to be at work at 9:30. So
And then it's the rush. It's the half
the
an hour rush of hell.
yeah, now I literally do Peloton in the morning and everything.
Do you?
I am a yummy mummy on the run, babe.
Do you know what? I did a Soul Cycle for the first time the other week. Have you ever been to Soul Cycle?
I've done a Soul Cycle.
And how did you feel about that?
I actually quite enjoyed it. I quite but I never used to be a very spiritual person.
No.
I never used to believe in the whole positive, affirmation
Yeah,
stuff that happens
yeah,
at Soul Cycle.
yeah.
So when I first went, I was get me out of here. Second time I went, I was like, oh my God, I'm really into this.
So was it like a themed one you went to?
Oh my God. I actually don't know if it's themed. It was my friend's birthday, the last one I went to.
Okay.
And he's obsessed.
Really?
My friend Nicholas is obsessed. He goes 2 times. He goes to back-to-back classes in the morning before he goes to work.
Really?
And he's ripped. He looks stunning for
So
it.
we went to a Taylor Swift x Sabrina Carpenter one.
Oh, wow. You really leaned in.
I really got involved.
Yeah.
We really were up and down. And apparently my resistance wasn't up as it should be.
Oh, wow.
So the instructor, first of all...
We've only just met, babe. You're really giving me all the key details.
No, you must know the key details. So my best friend booked it, and why I trusted her to book it, I literally don't know, because we got there and they were like, yeah, you're not on bikes together. You're
Oh,
other
so you were
sides of the
solo.
But the only ones that they did have that we could be together, you're basically on the stage. Have you been to the one in Soho?
Yes,
And
that's
there's
the
the
one I've
ones
been to.
literally...
You're performing with the instructor.
We were there. I was
Yeah.
performing.
So you were in the zone. I am Sabrina Carpenter. I'm
She's
Sabrina
Taylor.
Carpenter and
We're
Taylor's
here.
love child. And I'm making it work.
And I'm making it work. And she got off the bike to come to me, only me, to let me know my resistance wasn't up.
Oh,
And I've never
that's
felt a moment
shady.
like that. Horrendous.
A moment like this, babe. Some people wait a lifetime, don't they?
Right.
Wow. The shades.
Okay, what I want to do is I actually want to grab this fabulous book here, Great Chat, your
Yes.
book. And instead of asking you for a little bit of context on you, first of all, I just want to read page 1, because I think that
Oh,
really
wow. Okay.
actually sets the tone of a little bit of an inch of growing up, of where you were then, and I think it also provides a very clear journey to where you are now. We can go into that. So I'm going to read. You ready?
I'm ready. I can't wait to hear your reading voice.
Oh, goodness.
Do you have a sultry reading voice, or do you go quite posh?
Josh,
'cause
we're about to find out.
Oh my God, I'm
We're
so
about to find out.
excited.
Okay, I don't know now.
People have
It's gonna
different
happen.
reading voices, though. I've noticed that.
Yeah, although
They
to
really
be fair,
do.
sometimes my voice fluctuates depending on who I'm with.
Oh yeah, mine does too. And I've got that
So
terrible...
I'm like, why did I speak like that? Because I've got to keep that up now.
And then my worst thing is and my boyfriend pulls me up on this all the time. I adopt different people's accents, and it's atrocious. And I have a lot of American friends, and it's
Yeah.
embarrassing, let me tell you. Because at the end, Tom's like, "You've literally spent that whole thing
In
becoming
an
gradually
American
more
accent.
American as it goes." I just can't stop it.
Oh my
But I
God,
heard that
that's
Meryl Streep
hilarious.
does it, so if
So
Meryl
that's
does
fine
it,
then.
it's fine.
That's
But I'm
absolutely
not
fine.
as great an actor as Meryl Streep, so she's obviously nailing the accents. Mine just probably sound like really terrible pastiches on an accent.
No, I don't think.
Yeah.
Don't do yourself like that.
Yeah.
I love social occasions. Be that a pint down the pub with a pal, a stunning wedding, a slut dropping session in the club with my best friends, or organising my own surprise birthday party. I am aware this is unhinged. But the most memorable events or moments I have experienced are never about walking away the drunkest or with a free goodie bag or having eaten a slap up dinner. Instead, they're when I felt welcomed into a room, left with a stronger connection to those I care for, or when I've magically connected with a stranger who taught me something about the world or myself. One of those magic moments of connection happened at my friend Charlie's wedding. Always making it my mission to befriend someone new, I started talking to her sister, Annie. I asked her the entry level question, "What do you do for work?" And she replied, "You won't know what this is, but I am a speech therapist." But I knew exactly what she meant because I had to see a speech therapist as a child for a debilitating speech impediment. This pretty basic question opened up a whole new level of conversation. As we chatted about how life changing speech therapy can be, I suddenly had an epiphany as to why I love connecting with people through conversation so much. It's because I used to be afraid and ashamed to speak, something that was solidified when 5-year-old me asked for fish fingers from the dinner lady and she laughed in my face because I couldn't get the F words out.
She was savage.
She
She was
clearly
savage. I
was
always remember
savage.
that moment. I always remember it.
Tell me about the kind of feelings and emotions in that moment.
In the moment when
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, it's so strange when you grow up different. And I was different for a lot of different reasons, but obviously didn't realize it then. And it was very debilitating to have a speech impediment when you're also going out into the world for the first time, especially when you're in reception and you're like 5 years old and you're trying to make friends. And I just moved schools and we moved across the country. And then all of a sudden I realized that my voice was betraying me, basically. And I remember being in the dinner queue, and I mean, you can definitely tell that I grew up in the 90s because you would not be getting fish fingers at school anymore, Dylan, would you?
No.
Jamie Oliver's killed that.
Yeah.
So I went up and I was like, I want the fingers like this, and she laughed at me and she made me do it again and again and again and again and again. So, and I just remember then getting that little plate, the little tray,
the ridiculous tray,
with all the little divided up compartments, and going back down and sitting on my own and just feeling so small. And there's been other times throughout my life when I've really struggled to find my voice. And also, I don't know if you experienced this, but when I was growing up and my voice didn't break in the way that everyone else's did, my voice became such a target for bullies. So then that also sets you back as well as thinking like, oh my God, my voice is betraying me yet again. And it was strange because I haven't really thought about the fact that I had that speech impediment problem until I had that conversation with Annie at my friend Charlie's wedding. And I was like, wow, you've been on such a journey. And now to be the person who is earning a living off literally using their voice, 5-year-old me would never have believed that. And you can definitely tell that I still have a slight speech impediment because when I say the word free and free, there's no difference.
But that's with the majority of individuals, so don't worry.
There's like a couple of words you can always tell. And yeah, but I feel so proud of that 5-year-old. And I dedicate the book to younger me.
Yeah.
Because I say, I'm so proud of you for keep turning up when you were scared to, when you didn't know what to say. And that's what it's about. Life is about turning up into spaces. Whether you have got social anxiety, whether you're already a confident communicator, it's about continuously showing up into spaces as you are and finding the people that accept you as you are, but not even just accepting you, respecting you.
Yeah.
And I think that with that, you then start to find self-respect as well.
I want to touch on allyship because I think that's such a huge thing. And it feels as though it's just becoming a real conversation. allyship
Mm.
and really about what that means, and not just being okay with something, but going out of your way to be an ally.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what being an ally is. Now, there are things that, I will have experienced that you won't have, that you will have, as a straight man, there are things that I will not have experienced that you will have. My best friend is trans. There are things that she's experienced that I will never experience. And I think me and her have had really in-depth conversations, and before being friends with her, before having a trans friend, there was no reason as to why I would understand how her day looks compared to mine. And I think without those conversations, where do you get that information from? And then what do you do with that information? And I found that recently, with a lot of things that's going on in the world for trans people and for the LGBTQIA plus community, actually going out there to raise the flag and go out of your way and publicly make a point is really important and really key. What's your view on allyship? And I suppose, what do you think, in your opinion, makes an ally? To all different people, not just to that community, to all minorities. What is a good ally? Is it about listening? Is it about asking the right questions? What do you think?
I think that allyship is vital right now more than ever. And
yeah,
I'll give you an example of this, actually, because I feel like I came out of the womb a feminist. Like, all of my greatest supporters in my life have been women.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Every single opportunity I have been given in life has come from a woman. That's a fact.
Can I ask did you grow up with what parents?
Had my mum and dad at home.
Sure.
Yeah. And my mum was fierce.
Yeah.
She was fierce. Very strict parent.
Yeah.
I also had a really close relationship with my grandma and my auntie Mary, who died sadly last year. So I grew up around pretty great, strong women who knew themselves.
Yeah.
Women are amazing.
Fabulous.
And I have, in the moments when I was struggling myself when I was a teenager, people who were there for me were the girls at school.
Yeah.
Wasn't the boys, it was the girls. And I think I've always taken that with me throughout everything I ever done, because I talk all the time about the fact we need more male allies to women in our society. And that conversation has really taken flight recently, thanks to adolescence, and how you know it's shown there's this horrific incel culture, there's misogyny everywhere, and the only way we're going to get through that is by saying to men that women's rights and women's safety is a men's problem. And if you
that's the key.
That's key.
There is only so far that women can go.
Yeah.
To raise that flag. The baton almost has to be passed on to men to hold other men accountable. And, men should not feel comfortable to make certain jokes in a room just of men, just because there's not women there.
100%. Well, I think I've been reading this really amazing book recently, and I think that the issue is, and I've had a lot of hate when I've said stuff, and I've called men out for not being allies to women.
Which is absurd.
Pretty horrible messages. And some of them actually came from men that I knew.
Really?
Yeah. And I was really shocked. And one of them came back to me and was like, it's not all men, it's not all men. And I was like, well, do you know what? If you don't think you're part of the problem, then why aren't you actively being part of the solution? Yeah. And that is what the core of allyship is for me. It's like when we had the Black Lives Matter movement resurgence in 2020. So if you don't think you're part of the problem, so if you actively don't think you're a racist person, then why aren't you being part of the solution? Yeah. If you don't think you're a homophobic person, then why aren't you standing up for the gay guy who's in your office, or standing up for the gay kid who might go to your kid's school who's not getting the support that they need? Like, that is what allyship's about. It's about saying that, okay, looking at the way that you move through life, looking at the way you might have harbored prejudice you don't even know about, and unconscious biases. You can have that all the time. Like, how many times do you hear people say things about women drivers, or how many times you go, I'm going to the doctor, what did he say? I've only worked in female dominated industries. Like
Yeah.
all the magazines that I've worked at have been
Yeah.
female dominated. So it's almost a shock when I have to work with a straight man, right?
Yeah.
Like this is bizarre
Yeah.
because this is not the experience of pretty much, I would say 99.9% of the people.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
only ever seen women as like all powerful, empowering,
Yeah.
on top figures.
I think for me, the kind of steps of allyship, I think, first of all, come with like recognizing your own privilege in a situation.
Yeah.
That's kind of step one, is really understanding that, which takes time to do because there are so many things that are a privilege to me that I wouldn't know are a privilege because that's just my day-to-day life. But then step two is asking those questions.
Yeah.
And building an understanding and building an awareness. And then step three is acting.
And not inserting yourself into the narrative.
Exactly.
That's a really important thing.
Exactly.
Like if someone's telling you about your life experience, don't go, oh, I had something similar. Okay, you might have had something similar and it might be slightly relatable, but not the time, babe.
Not the time. I wanted to come on to something that I didn't know much about and have really leaned into researching. And that's one thing I love about having these conversations and it being an interview, and not that we've just bumped into each other, is that I can go away and research, and I love that process and really finding out
we
things
love
I
a
didn't
research,
know about.
babe.
Love a research.
Yeah.
Love a research. Am I right in thinking you were growing up and you came out when Section 28 was in place?
Babe, I'm not that old.
Not when it came in, while it was active. I'm not saying you were there in 1988.
No, I was born in 1989, so it wasn't.
But it was in place.
No, it would have been over by then.
2003.
2003?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, babe, every day's a school day because I did not know that.
School day.
I thought you thought that I was still alive when Margaret Thatcher was around. And I was like, wow, babe.
No. No, so it
I
came
need to
out.
update my skincare routine. Sorry, do you want to start that question again? I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, you're 73, aren't you, Josh?
I was like concerned. I was like, oh my god, I need to go start getting Botox.
Need to go to Face Gym, hun.
Need to go to Face Gym.
Have you ever been to Face Gym?
Oh my god, I love Face Gym. It's the best.
It's brilliant, but like the most terrifying experience.
It's terrifying.
Like,
and sometimes
every time I'm like, my eye's going to come out.
Yeah, my eye's gonna pop out. My jaw is never gonna be the same again. And then you just look at how snatch you are, and you're like, wow, it's worth every single second of that.
We've clarified you were not there when Section 28 came into play.
Yes, I wasn't.
But it was active when you were growing up and when you came out. So it got abolished in 2000 in Scotland and 2003 in the rest of the United
Well, that is a
Kingdom.
school day because I did not know that.
Were you aware of it growing up?
No. I wouldn't have been aware
really
of that. No.
So, for those who aren't aware, Section 28 was a piece of legislation in the UK that prohibited local authorities from promoting homosexuality or teaching about it in a positive light in schools. So that was passed in 1988.
Yeah, the year before I was born.
There you are.
And Taylor Swift.
And Taylor Swift, of course.
Yeah.
And it was partly inspired by a book in 1983 called Jenny Lives with Eric and Martin. And it aimed to give children information about different types of family relationships and parental figures. Like I said, the law was stopped in 2000 in Scotland and 2003 in the United Kingdom. And I read a few interviews and watched a few interviews of people that really experienced growing up in this time. And one person said, you know, they were being pushed and shoved, people throwing their drinks on them. But because of Section 28, it meant that a lot of teachers couldn't step in. So during this time that you were growing up and coming to terms with who you are, it was actively illegal for schools to promote homosexuality. How does that feel being aware of that? Because that is, you said that you were experiencing shame at the time anyway.
Yeah.
Let alone when the government have made it illegal for schools to promote it because of how bad they believe it is.
That's really interesting because I would never have been aware of that. I just assumed that everything about me was just not in the norm.
Right.
So obviously when you have sex education at school, you ain't taught about, I don't even know if it's different now. But,
it is different
now. It's different now.
Yeah.
So there's no way that there was any discussion about any kind of different relationship other than a straight relationship. I had no teacher step in and say, you can't call him that. Or I once had a teacher a PE teacher who literally openly took the mick out of me in front of the whole class, and was very homophobic. So yeah, I did grow up at that time, but wasn't really aware of it. Because
I think
you're kind of
it
not.
sounds like because that's what you thought just happened.
I just think it was normal. I thought it was normal to be excluded. I thought it was normal for my way of life and the way that I felt to not be included in the norm. So it's really interesting you asked me about that, because I've never, ever, ever thought about that before. But in that context, yes, I was being bullied.
Yeah.
Yes, no one was standing up for me in terms of the teachers. That's not to say I didn't have incredible teachers, because I did have really amazing teachers who really brought me out of myself in loads of different ways.
Yeah.
But there was never any mention about me being gay. And I mean, I came out of school when I was in year 9. So that would have been in 2000. So it would have been literally at the end of section 28. But there's no one who stepped in to support me in that at school. And they would have known about it. But I didn't come out to my parents until I was literally just about to go to university. But they were very fully aware that I was gay by that point. So it was not a shock. Let's just say that. But yeah, I think in that context, it's sad that I didn't grow up in a time where there was a discussion about it at school, but I just wasn't aware of it. I just didn't think it was likely to be included. So I don't think I was waiting for it to come.
I want to come on to masculinity.
Oh, let's do it, babe.
Which is a really interesting one. Now, I Googled the definition of it because I was really intrigued to see what Google had to say. And the definition on Google of masculinity is qualities or attributes regarded as characteristics of men or boys. Now, I hate that, because what does that mean?
I mean, it's so general.
It's so unbelievably general. And I also don't think that a quality or an attribute that society presents as manly is how someone should identify with their masculinity. And I feel like that's not talked about enough. I don't know how you felt, but, you know, my ideal evening doesn't include 13 lagers. And I'm
not doesn't mean either, babe.
I'm not going to come wearing a grey tracksuit, and I'm not going to fit into those society norms, especially at my age. I'm 19, and, you know, that's very much in that. And we're just growing up and coming into finding out who we are. How do you kind of identify with the idea of masculinity and what society thinks it is? And have you struggled with being comfortable in your own masculinity because of what society says it is versus how you feel?
I think masculinity, especially if you're a gay man, is a very tricky thing. And it's a very, especially, like, most people would think that I'm a camp gay guy, and in the gay community you have masc and you have femme. So there's a definition, there's a very vivid differentiation amongst men who are gay men, which is crazy to me. And, you know, if you've ever been on certain apps, it will always be like masc for masc. It's never like masc for femme. And so you're immediately then differentiated out, because there's this whole obsession with trying to be or keep up with what a masculine ideal is.
Yes.
And that's very toxic. There's a lot of toxic masculinity in the gay world, which not many people talk about. No. But there's also a lot of toxic masculinity, obviously, in our society today.
Yeah.
And the way that presents is through incel culture, is through everyday sexism, is through misogyny. And I think that we need to have a really deep, long conversation and look at ourselves about how much pressure we even put on men to conform to certain masculine stereotypes.
Yeah.
I was writing for the bonus chapter the other day. I was writing about grief and about how men deal with grief in a completely different way.
That's really interesting.
And it's really interesting because there's this whole study that shows that if men don't respond to death or grief in a stoic way, they feel immediately less than, and they feel judged.
Yeah.
So they feel like they need to be so strong in times of great difficulty. And if we as a society put that level of pressure on men, that is so toxic for them. And I think something that people need to realize, and that I talk about a lot and been thinking about a lot, is we talk a lot about the patriarchal system, right? And how it affects women. But actually the patriarchal system actually really detrimentally affects men too.
Yeah.
And we need to look at that, because it basically then fuels this toxic masculine culture that we have, where men feel like they need to be strong when they actually need to lean into their vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I think we need to address this whole idea that masculine is one thing, feminine is another thing. And actually, there's so many different characteristics and attributes that we all have that are so great, and they can show up in different genders, all genders.
Yeah.
And we need to celebrate those things and not make so much pressure on people to adhere to certain social values or stereotypes.
I agree. It feels like the definition needs to be rewritten in our everyday actions.
But it's so hard to do that now because of what is happening within cell culture and online. Like it's going backwards.
Yeah, it is.
So it's I find it really actually very scary.
I find it scary.
Like I was having this conversation the other day with my boyfriend about if we were going to have a kid, right? And I'm so set on the fact that if we had a child, I'd want it to be a girl. Because the idea of raising a boy in this society fills me with absolute dread. And I think that's really sad, because obviously we're two men, right? Yeah. I don't think I'm a toxic masculine person.
No.
I think about that kind of stuff all the time. So hopefully we'll be able to raise a really amazing boy to be an amazing ally to women, identify how he wants to identify. But even as a gay man, I feel freaked out about it, because I'm like, wow, how would I deal with those kind of conversations or how to navigate
that's really
through that?
Interesting.
It's scary, and that's not gonna. This isn't gonna be solved overnight. And I think, especially after the back of adolescence, people are like, okay, right, what's the action?
Yeah. And
the action's probably got to start with talking and really looking at yourself and looking deep within yourself about, if you're a man, like, oh, do I have these sexist viewpoints that I need to let go of? Or actually, if you don't identify as a man, do you put unfair pressure on men to act in a certain way?
Yeah.
Or you expect them to act in a certain way? Or could you do more to try and help get them talking about things? Because there's a huge problem with male mental health, and that comes from this whole idea that they need to be stoic, they need to be strong. And we need to be leaning across to straight men or any kind of man to say, are you okay? Talk me through your experience. What's going on? I had a really amazing conversation actually not that long ago with one of my friends who's a straight man, and he suffers from anxiety, and I had no idea. And we talked about it, and I was like, wow. And I've also had these conversations with my dad. My dad had a nervous breakdown when he retired, and it was really bad. And he also had a really difficult upbringing. Like, he grew up as the youngest of seven brothers and sisters, and his nearest brother was disabled, and this was in like the 1950s, 60s. So you can imagine what that was like. They're very, very, very working class, like basically no money. And he basically was his carer. He used to have to be like really young, lift him off the toilet, and then he died. And my dad's never really spoken about that. And it's really sad, because you can tell he's kind of carried that through his life. And, you know, when he had this breakdown, it was really difficult to see. And I was talking to my mum about it the other day, and we were saying like, wow, it's so hard, because he's not used to being able to talk about these things. And I mean, it's a real shame that we haven't created a culture that enables men to talk about those things.
I think also I feel so lucky that I have a fantastic mum and dad and family and friendship group, that I have never been in a position where I feel like there is no one that I can speak to.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, I lost a very close family friend of mine. He took his own life, and he has 2 gorgeous children. And no one knew a thing. Not a single thing. And for me, I found that so shocking, that you wouldn't just say to someone, I'm having a bad day. And obviously it was a lot more than that, but we don't know why. And so it's so key to check up on people, to pay attention, like we said, to people's behaviors and things like that, and have those conversations, especially with those men who feel like they need to be a certain way. And not only does that then lead to suicide, which is horrendous, but it can also lead the other way, which is how we then have a society where there's a huge amount of violence against women and girls. That's the toxic masculinity can present in so many different ways, and unfortunately none of those routes are pretty.
Good. But I think the whole issue is we're just not listening to each other.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And there's a lot of women who also suffer from mental health problems who don't feel like they can talk about it. I've never really spoken about this, but I feel like it's relevant, so I will. I stopped someone from taking their own life by jumping off a bridge. And
someone you knew, or a
complete stranger.
Really?
And I was out walking, and it was late. It was not even late at night. It was like the usual route that I do. And something in me was like, keep walking. And it's so weird because I usually turn a different way, and we live right on the river.
Yeah.
And as I was getting closer, I was like, oh my God, there's a girl who's like on the barrier. Oh my God, she's over the barrier. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I always remember this conversation. It was about two men, and it was very famous story about a man who was going to jump off a bridge in London. And I don't remember their names, but I always remember one thing about this conversation. And this is what shows that listening is so great. Because they were like, they just said they just tried to keep them calm, and they just asked how they were, asked very slow, gentle questions. And I remember that piece of advice. And thank God I remember that piece of advice. And I got up to this girl, and I had my dog with me as well. I mean, thank God she's cute and fluffy, so it wasn't like a scary dog.
Yeah.
And I just started talking to her. I'm not going to say it's her story, so I don't really want to talk about what she was going through. But once, and it went on, and it was so crazy because like this is in London, right? No one came past us for ages. Felt like time stood still. She was crying. She was going to go. I persuaded her to come back over the barrier so we could have a conversation. She comes back over, and I was just like, what's wrong? And she was like uncontrollably crying, and she talked about her experience. And the bottom line is that no one was listening to her, and she didn't feel like anyone was listening.
Yeah.
And that's really sad to get to that point. And it was such a strange experience because you come away from it, you feel like it never actually happened because it was very traumatic. And I just felt so bad for her afterwards. And I don't know what then happened to her after that because I just don't. But we went different ways, and I walked just to the bus stop where she needed to go. But to get to that point that she had gone over a barrier, over the Thames, and was going to end her life because she felt like someone wasn't listening or anyone was listening to her, says everything about the problem we have in our society about listening. Because we talk all the time about it's good to talk, right? And it's great to talk, but we're not teaching people how to talk, and we're not teaching people how to actually listen when people do need to share, or how to pick up on certain things from people. And that's a problem across all genders. That's across all communities. And it appears differently in different communities. Yes, you might have more privileges. Yes, you might have more resources, but it doesn't necessarily mean you've got people who are listening to you. And I always think about that girl. I always think about that if just people had listened to her a little bit more, she wouldn't have been in that situation. And hopefully she's living an incredible life now. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's hard.
Were you okay after that?
It's such a strange thing because I have a way of processing traumatic things in that I basically pretend they don't happen.
Yeah.
Or like, and I was having a conversation. This is everything I learned through amazing conversations.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with another one of my friends, and her husband is a Coast Guard in London. I was like, babe, what's a Coast Guard do in London? And she said they basically go along, and most of their job is stopping people from jumping off bridges.
I can imagine.
I was like, oh, that happened to me. And I said to her, it's such a strange thing because I feel like it didn't really happen. And she was like, that's a traumatic response.
Yeah.
But that's apparently how people deal with trauma is, and that's how they talk about that in the Coast Guard service, is that you start to block it out and pretend it doesn't happen. But yeah, it's very sad, but it was her, I see it as her story. It's not really mine, but I've never really talked about it. I talk about it a little bit in the book, but I do actually think it's an important thing to talk about, because I think if anyone is ever in that same situation, it's just about keeping them calm, gentle questions, small questions, not big questions. Don't panic, don't rush them, just you know. And I'll never forget that hug at the end of it, and just feeling like, oh my God, she's safe.
Yeah
That's
tough though. That's a really big situation. So you talk about great chats. Obviously you have a book called Great Chat.
That's what it says on the tin, babe.
Absolutely, it does. I'm really intrigued into some chats that you've had. They may be hilarious, they may be heartbreaking. What are some conversations, maybe one or two, that you feel like you really vividly remember that are funny or touching that you'd like to share?
This is a really answer to this question, but I say this all the time, and that is, I say this to everyone, because everyone always asks me, like, what's the best conversation you've ever had? Like, what's the best interview you've ever done? And truthfully, I really do believe that everyone in life is a teacher or a lesson to you. You just got to sit across from them. You got to practice that active listening. You got to ask those questions. You got to open up. You got to share. You got to create those safe spaces. And you never know what you're going to learn from someone.
No.
So every single person that I've met, I've learned something from them. Even if it's a good thing, it might be like an amazing piece of advice, or it might be like, oh, they made me feel really warm by having this incredible body language, or they asked really amazing questions, like you asked really amazing questions, and I will always remember that from this conversation. Or it might be like, oh God, there was such a dick and I never want to act like that. So there's
always take something away.
You always take something away.
Absolutely.
And that's what you got to remember every conversation. It's like, I've interviewed some incredible people like Oprah, Victoria Beckham,
which is just absurd.
It's just absurd.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things that I've learned. I'll pick two or three. The one thing I learned from, and I think this stems back from a lot of the things we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I grew up thinking that being the way that I was not going to get me anywhere in life.
Yeah.
So I've really struggled with this idea of being authentically me and feeling like I need to be someone else. And I remember when I was going to interview Oprah.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you interview the ultimate interviewer?
Yeah.
But the thing is you know exactly what you're going to get from an Oprah conversation.
Yeah.
Oprah is always authentically her.
Yeah.
She is the most incredible interviewer. She always will be, because she gives so much of herself, but you always know what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I just need to go in and be myself.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it's going to go. Like, that's how this conversation is going to work. And it was the most incredible experience, because she was like saying, oh, let's keep Josh going. Let's add more questions. Like, it was incredible. I walked in that room knowing that the way that I was going to go through life was to be authentically me. And around this, maybe like a year or so later, I had a conversation with Hayley Atwell, who's an actress, and she changed my life, because she sent me a message after the interview, and she said, take you wherever you go and keep dictating the tone that you want in every single room you walk into. And I was like, wow, that was such incredible advice, because I really struggled with going into spaces as myself through multiple different times in my life. So to have that was such a great awakening. And I just had her back on the podcast, and I actually got to thank her for that. And it was really special. And she's really actively changed my life. And there's other conversations I've had with like Katarina Johnson-Thompson, who's like the world heptathlete Olympian. And at the end of each podcast episode, I always ask, in the reign of your life, what's the one rule you'll always live by? And hers was, regret will haunt you more than failure. And so many times in my life, I operate from a place of fear that I'm going to fail at it. And I think, and I was talking about this the other day, and I think it's because I came from a scarcity mindset in my life. We didn't have much.
Yeah.
What you were going to get was going to be good enough.
Yeah.
Don't stretch out beyond that. So I'm very protective over what I've built and where I've got to in life. And I really do fear failure a lot because of that, I think. And actually, there's so many times I haven't gone for things, or I've stopped myself from doing things because of that fear. And actually, the only thing I'm going to be sad about when I'm like 50, not 50.
Well, you're 73 now.
But I'm 73 now.
Yeah.
When I'm like, the only thing I'm going to regret when I come to the end of my life is not doing it. And that was a really amazing life lesson. But I've also been so lucky through doing this to meet really incredible friends. Like my friend Lily Collins she's changed my life. She's such an incredible friend. She's such an incredible person. You can't wish for a better friend than her. And she's one of my greatest cheerleaders. And I've learned a lot from her.
Yeah.
But all those conversations are private. So, but I've learned, I'm just so blessed that I get to move through life and get to meet incredible people who teach me new things all the time. And I'm always meeting new people. And that's what I love about life. I think sometimes we get to a point in life where we think, oh, I'm done. I've got my friends. I've got this. I've got my support network. You're never done, babe.
No.
You're never fully cooked. You're never fully
people.
cooked. So get out there and keep talking, so you never know what you're going to learn.
Yeah.
But there's so many conversations I had that will stay with me forever. Like even the one I was just talking about recently with Faye Marseille, like it's probably the first time I've ever really thought about being working class and what that really meant for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where a lot of the shame came from, because I felt like I wasn't enough and I'm so proud to be a working class kid who didn't have anything and grew up in that box room, and now he's doing this. It's like incredible. Yeah.
That's really special. I think everything happens for a reason and in the way that the universe believes it should for each
But also
individual.
you've got Roxy on.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had conversations with Roxy that have completely changed my life. Like she's helped me so much with my confidence and getting rid of my self-doubt. And also just learning from having a friend who cheerleads for you even when you're in the same industry, even when you're doing similar things. That is really rare to find.
That's really, really rare.
Really rare. And I've learned a lot from her about that.
Yeah.
So I make sure I like really am there for my friends who are doing similar things to me, because it's hard, because especially when like me, you're from a scarcity mindset, you think like, oh my God, I need to protect my piece of the pie. But she's really helped me look at the world differently, and so many conversations I have with her about confidence that really helped me. So yeah, it's very special to have friends. I'm so fortunate for the friends that I have in my life.
Yeah, same. And this is the best job in the world, because you can make so many friends.
Oh my God.
Genuine friends, not showbiz friends.
Yeah.
Real life friends.
I mean, I'm not friends with every single person I interview. And
of course
messages
not.
to people being like, oh my God, I didn't know you were friends with Claire Foy. And I'm like, I'm absolutely not friends with Claire Foy. And they're like, oh, it seemed like you were on the episode. And I was like, babe, we're not. But she's incredible. Yeah, I'm super lucky. And like Nicola Coughlan as well, we met. We met when she was just in Dairy Girls. And she opened up to me in a conversation that we had for Glamour. That was back at Glamour. And I always remember learning a lot from her about determination and staying true to your dreams and trusting the process. And it's amazing, because those kind of people continue supporting me. It's just a great gift. Conversation is the gift, babe.
Conversation is the gift. Do you find it weird being on a podcast?
Yes. Especially,
so strange,
it's so strange. Because again, it's that element of control, because you know where it's going.
Yeah. You have no idea.
I have no idea, but it's actually very reassuring to talk about yourself a bit more, if you know what I mean, and work through things. But that's what the whole great thing about interviewing is, isn't it?
And I think also it's the thing of, everyone has a story.
Everyone's got a story.
And often we are finding out other people's stories. But I think it's really nice that you've had a chance to share your story.
And everyone is an untapped resource in life.
Yeah.
Every single person is an untapped resource for you.
Yeah.
Just got to get in there, ask those questions, and find out what you're going to learn.
We're at the end of the podcast, unfortunately.
Oh, babes.
Save the tears. But what I always end the podcast with is by asking the guests to leave us with a quote. Just something that you keep there. And I thought, while you give us a quote, you could sign. Great chat.
Yes, I will do. I'm very bad at doing two things at once.
Okay, so well, we'll have to do one thing at a time.
We'll do one thing at a time. So I actually got this quote from my friend Holly, Hope Harper. Big her up. She's another great resource in life for me.
Right.
And I was having a bit of a wobble recently.
Yeah.
And she said to me, sometimes in life, the last opinion you need to trust is the one you have of yourself. And I was like, wow. Because everyone around me is saying, you're so great, you can do this, you can do all that.
Yeah.
But inside, I don't think I can. So actually what I need to start doing in life is trusting the opinion of everyone else around me, and then my opinion of myself will catch up.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really great, because sometimes everyone
really
can
nice.
go through really difficult times with their inner voice, and sometimes you just don't need to trust it.
Yeah.
You need to trust other voices.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should define yourself by what everyone else thinks about you.
No.
That's not what I mean.
But
it's people. A balance. It's about you trusting your people.
Yeah.
And if they believe in you, you've got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also about, there's also, I love that quote recently from White Lotus where she talks about her belief systems, Carrie Coon, in the monologue in the last episode.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God, babe. The quote about her belief system.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that I've had to rewire my belief system a bit. And I think that my belief system has been so based on my career and other things. And actually, the belief system I need to work on the most is the one with myself. So that informs everything that Holly was saying to me. So,
right. Yeah. I think also we've talked a lot about life today, and at points in, you know, kind of the negative things in the world and things that we need to change. But also I've really recently learned to just like, life is great, you know, just enjoy life. Like, it is so, especially now the sun's out, everything feels a lot better. Really appreciating the little things and genuinely appreciating the little things, I think is so key and so important.
And then I also had this, I'm obsessed with Viola Davis, by the way. If you've never read Viola Davis's autobiography,
I haven't.
Read it or listen to the audiobook. She won a Grammy for it, which made her an EGOT. So
she won a Grammy.
She won a Grammy for her audiobook. Her audiobook is sensational. Phenomenal. Her voice is sensational.
Yeah.
And she said this thing the other day, that the only person you need to, you're answerable to, is your 5-year-old self and your 8-year-old self.
Right.
And I thought that was so great.
Yeah.
Because actually, that really resonates with my story going full circle. The 5-year-old kid in that dinner queue who got mocked for how their voice was.
Yeah.
And then the 8-year-old me who's gonna, you know, hopefully I'm still thriving. I've got years to go at that point.
Yeah.
But, you know, might be retired on my sun lounge having a great spiffing time.
Yeah.
I want to be able to look back and not have any regrets about my career and my life. So
yeah, I
think that's a really good motto to have. Do it for your 5-year-old self and do it for your 8-year-old self.
I agree.
Bam.
Josh Smith, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, babe.
Oh my goodness, what a man. Josh Smith, everyone, he is just fantastic. I love that conversation. I felt like it was so moving and I took away so much from it, and I hope that you do the same. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Look after yourself and have a gorgeous day.